Getting over a past partner, man, it can be one of the toughest mental battles we go through. You get stuck in that constant loop of memories, that ache for what used to be. But what if the way we've been trying to move on is just all wrong? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical mental exercise that's designed to break that cycle for good.
You know the feeling, right? You're just trying to get through your day and then, bam, your mind snaps right back to them. It can feel like a real addiction, this mental trap you just can't seem to escape, replaying the highlight reel over and over and over again.
Okay, so let's get into it. The usual advice you hear is just push those thoughts away, suppress the memory. But what if I told you that's actually the worst thing you could do? Instead, we're going to try something completely counterintuitive, something a little radical.
To get why this works, we first have to talk about something called the idealization trap. You see, our minds, they love to create what the source material for this calls a syrup-soaked memory of the past. It's this super sweet, totally romanticized version of the relationship that conveniently, edits out all the bad stuff.
And this right here, this lays it all out perfectly. On one side, you've got that idealized memory, all the perfect moments, the romance, those hazy good times. But then there's the actual reality. Their annoying habits, the friction of just living day to day, and, as the source so perfectly puts it, their clumsiness and shiftiness. That's the stuff our brains love to forget.
So how in the world do you escape that syrup-soaked trap? Well, this brings us to the core of this whole thing, a radical reality check. It's a very deliberate, kind of pedantic and clear-eyed mental exercise, designed specifically to break that cycle.
So what is this exercise exactly? Think of it like this. It's a technique built to force a little confrontation right inside your own mind. It's all about breaking that addiction to the perfect past by intentionally bringing up the concrete and, often uncomfortable realities of what the relationship was actually like.
But why does this actually work? I mean, it's not just about forcing yourself to think bad thoughts, right? No. There's a specific psychological reason this is so effective. It's all about disrupting your brain's favorite pattern, idealization.
And this quote, this just nails it. The goal is to literally force your mind to hold two completely opposite ideas at the exact same time. You've got the sweet, idealized memory here and the harsh, kind of radioactive reality over there. When you make those two truths collide, that romanticized version just can't hold up. The bubble pops.
Okay, so you get the theory behind it, but how do you actually do it? Let's walk through the step-by-step guide to putting this mental exercise into practice.
All right, step 1, set the scene. Don't just vaguely think about them. I mean, vividly picture them standing in your hallway right now with all their bags ready to move back in. Now, as soon as you have that image, step 2, immediately introduce the radioactive reality of their habits. Step 3, get into the nitty-gritty details. Be specific. Remember their unique clumsiness and shiftiness, all those little things that drove you nuts. And finally, step 4, just acknowledge the feeling that starts to bubble up. That quiet, solid realization that you don't actually want that person, the real, complicated person, back in your life. And here's the thing. When you do this consistently, something really powerful starts to shift. It's not about learning to hate your ex. It's about gaining crystal clear clarity. You start to untangle the fantasy from the actual person, and that leads to this final, liberating realization. And here it is. This is the big breakthrough. You realize you don't actually miss them. What you miss is, and I'm quoting here, a hazy version of the past that no longer exists. It was a moment in time, a feeling, maybe even a fantasy, but it was never the full, complicated, and flawed reality of that person and that relationship.
So, let's just boil this all down. What are the big takeaways here? First, that idealizing the past is a totally normal but really dangerous trap. Second, the answer isn't to run from the memories, but to turn around and confront them with what was real. Third, making those contradictory truths collide in your head is the key to breaking the addictive cycle. And maybe most important of all, you have the power to tell the difference between the fantasy and the reality.
So in the end, it really comes down to this. That hazy, syrup-soaked fantasy, it's always going to try to pull you back in. But the clear-eyed, radioactive reality, that's what's going to set you free. The only question is, which version of the past are you going to give power to?